Well, no matter what happens with the ongoing budget debate in Pennsylvania regarding funding for higher education, it's a pretty safe bet that the cost of a college education is going to continue to go up. Tuition inflation has outpaced the rise in the cost of living for decades. So what can parents do to prepare? Well, Robert Fragasso is here with a few ideas. He's co-founder and president of Fragasso Financial Advisors, a brand new sponsor of our region's business. And welcome, and thank you for your sponsorship.
And thank you for inviting me. It's always great to be interviewed by you, Bill.
Well, it's great. We've been doing it a long time. I was thinking when you came in, it's probably been over 25 years since the first interview I did for the evening news. So good to have you. Well, let's talk about this issue, which has got to be on everybody's minds right now in light of all the public debate in Pennsylvania over funding for higher education. A lot of uncertainty about what the price of a public university education is going to cost in the future.
It's a huge question for parents who are considering sending their children on to higher education. The inflation rate of education is twice the national average, and then with budget cutbacks, we're all hearing that right now. It's a big point of controversy. It's a real consideration, but yet at the same time, Bill, parents can't do anything about those issues. Those are broader issues that we can't impact. That's representative government, and that is, those are things we can't do anything about. What the parents can do is to think about the ways to overcome those obstacles, how to fund education, because we can't impact the dialogue going on about budget cutbacks.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point, and the public schools might have to act more like private schools, which means the price tag is even higher in that event. So, a lot of parents, I know a lot of parents I run into think, well, the kid will get the athletic scholarship, we'll get a merit scholarship, I'll handle it that way. I've got a bright, talented kid, and that's gonna make it all happen.
And for many people that will work, because colleges are looking to, the colleges refer to it as discounting, granting scholarships. That is, they're cutting back. But they have to have the resources there to fund that tuition. They can't just say, we won't accept tuition, we're just going to give you a cut rate price. There has to be endowment money there, there has to be income coming in to subsidize so costs are covered. And still, the parent has no guarantee that the child is going to get an academic or athletic scholarship. I mean, that's wonderful if they do. The real answer is to pre-fund for education.
And that comes back to good old-fashioned saving and investing, basically.
Isn't that boring? And as Americans, we've gotten away from that. Yeah. But the self-reliance and taking control of one's own destiny, whether it be toward retirement or toward education, is the right answer. And there are the right ways to do it, and there are the wrong ways to do it.
All right, well, if there's a right way, how do you begin to go about it when you're looking at inflation that tends to run so much faster than the inflation rate in general?
Well, there are a couple of key terms that I would hope parents would keep in mind, and one is time and tax burden shifting. On the time issue, the more time one has ramping up toward college, the greater the chance to pre-fund. And then if the money is invested properly, and we can talk about how that would be, but if the money's invested properly, then it has a chance to grow faster than inflation. And then by the time college comes around, then the parent is able to apply that money toward. Now, tax burden shifting is the companion principle, and there, if the earnings over time either come out tax-free or are taxed more lightly in the child's tax bracket versus the parent's higher tax bracket, then the government is in effect subsidizing education with lower taxes. So more cents on the dollar go toward education. But pre-funding's the key, Bill. Think about this for a moment. If I have a child that's going to college and I borrow $1 for tuition, the eventual cost to me is $1.50, $1.75. Once I pay all the interest charges, all those years paying it back, maybe more.
Sure.
But if I pre-fund, I may be able to put 50 cents down that will grow to $1. And if that dollar comes out tax-free, then I paid what in the other alternative would have cost $1.50 with 50 cents in today's dollars.
Wow.
But the key is to make sure that it's earning properly, and then also to lessen or eliminate the tax burden. It's basic financial planning and economic management.
Sure, just apply to the lifetime of a child growing up. I think the younger the child when you start, the easier this process is, right?
That absolutely. Time is your friend in this case. Now, there are different ways to pre-fund. The state has a program, and that offsets inflation only. So you put $1 in today, and then you are guaranteed that the tuition will be covered, equivalency will be covered later on. So whatever inflation was in the cost of education, you've paid for it with $1 today.
Those are those college savings accounts.
Exactly,
you know about, right?
yeah. But then there are also private plans that are more flexible, and those are done much like a 401k. Can be invested very similarly to the public is used to 401ks. That's, most of us have them now. And you have your own, in effect, college savings fund that you put in, and you're able to manage the investments. Granted, you're going to have to do it properly. It requires responsible management. But when it comes out, it can be a multiple, no guarantees, but it can be a multiple of what you put in. And if it's done in the 529 plan, which is a way of investing that tax law allows, then it comes out tax-free as long as it's used for higher education expense.
Okay, so you need to both pay attention to the investment vehicles, but then also the ones that offer these tax advantages.
Yes, exactly. And every state has a plan, and one can, so there are 50 plans available to us, each with different mutual fund groups. And you're allowed to cross borders. So we could use Virginia's plan, for example, if we like that mutual fund group better than Pennsylvania's, or vice versa.
Well, a lot of options, and no time like the present to start, especially given all the uncertainties that are out there these days.
Today's the first day of the rest of our life. Doesn't matter what happened before. We get started today. All
right, Bob Fragasso from the Fragasso Group. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for inviting me.
And next up, ECSI. Odds are you never heard of them, but this homegrown company has a hand in college education across the country. Stay with us.